So if you have a drive shaft that's making a clunking noise when you go to accelerate or decelerate, I thought I'd go over some of the main causes of this and how you might be able to go about fixing it. And so this is mainly to do with rear wheel drive vehicles. So if your vehicle's front wheel drive, it won't apply so much. And it's mainly to do with rear wheel drive vehicles. I'll put links down below for everything I'm looking at here. But the first thing is going to be a bad U-joint. And if one of these go bad, they can cause a clunking noise. And there'll be a U-joint at the front and the back of the driveline. And basically what they do is they just let the driveline spin when it's at different angles. And this is a very common problem, is one of these go bad, and when you go to step on the gas, it goes clunk. And it also can make a vibration when you're driving down the road because the driveline's out of balance. So when you're driving down the road, if you're getting a vibration and then you stop and when you go to press on the gas, it goes clunk again, then very likely you do have a bad U-joint. One way you could check to see if you have a bad U-joint is if you could put blocks under the tires so the vehicle won't roll. And then you put the vehicle inside of neutral, and then you try to move the driveline. If you can move the driveline around and you could hear it clunking, then you know this U-joint has gone bad and it's going to need to be replaced. But number one is going to be a bad U-joint. And next up is going to be a differential gear is failing. And there's a few different gears going on inside the differential. One of the main ones is the pinion gear. And this has a big bolt at the end that if it comes loose, it can often make a clunking noise or things like this. And one way you could tell if you have a bad gear is to go check out the fill plug. If you can remove the fill plug and you stick your finger in there into the oil, and if there's any metal shavings in the oil, then you know there's something going on with one of those gears, because there shouldn't be no metal shavings in there. If there is metal shavings, you want to get it checked out. But number two is going to be a bad gear in the differential. And next up is going to be a bad axle or a wheel bearing. And there's two axles, one bolted to each tire, and it goes through the center to the differential. And there's also a wheel bearing that it rides on out here on the outside. And while these usually make a different sound, usually they'll make like a humming noise or a whirring noise kind of thing when you're going down the road, they can also make a clunk sometimes when they really get damaged and bad. And when that happens, quite often they'll heat up. So if you could go around the back axle and just check around the bearing area and see if it's gotten hot, then that would be a sign that that wheel bearing is failing and it needs to be replaced. But number three is going to be a bad axle or wheel bearing. And next up is just going to be a loose component somewhere around the rear of the vehicle. And this is anything to do with like a loose leaf spring, or one of the shocks has become loose. For example, this shock, one of these bolts might have come off or broken off or something like this, and it could be making a clunky noise when you go to drive. So if you could just go around the rear of the vehicle and just check all these out. Check out the leaf spring, be sure that the bolts are all tight and everything's good. Check out the shocks, be sure the bolts are good on the bottom or the top and it doesn't look broken or anything like this, because any loose bolts or broken components could possibly make a clunky noise when you go to step on the gas. And so number four is going to be a loose component. And last up is going to be loose lug nuts. Now this isn't so common, but it does happen. Even tire shops sometimes can forget to tighten up lug nuts. And so if you could just go around and check out the lug nuts. If you have a tire iron, just be sure that they're tight and they don't look like they're coming off and they're loose or anything like that, because that can be dangerous if that is happening. And while this is rare, it doesn't happen very often. It can happen sometimes, and it's really quick and easy just to go check and see that all the lug nuts on the tires are all tight. And so number five is going to be loose lug nuts. And so that's basically it. I just want to go over 5 of the common causes for a drive shaft clunk noise that you might hear when you're accelerating or decelerating. If you have anything to add, please comment down below. If you have any questions, ask me and I'll try to answer them. This video helps you. Please click like, please click subscribe, and have a good day.